There were a dozen dead bodies on the Euston Road, their outlines softened by the black dust. All was still, houses locked and empty, shops closed. But looters had helped themselves to wine and food, and outside a jeweller's, some gold chains and a watch were scattered on the pavement. In Bloomsbury, the stillness grew even more profound, an odd, unnerving feeling of suspense, as though the destruction which had annihilated the countryside might at any moment strike these gracious houses in the very heart of London and leave all in smoking ruins. I stopped, staring towards the sound. It was as though that mighty desert of houses had found a voice for its fear and solitude. The desolating cry worked upon my mind. The wailing took possession of me. I was intensely weary, footsore, hungry and thirsty. Why was I wandering alone in this city of the dead? Why was I alive, while London was lying in state in its black shroud? I felt intolerably lonely, drifting from street to empty street, drawn inexorably towards that cry. I saw over the trees glistening in the sunlight, the hood of the Martian fighting machine from which the howling came. I crossed Regent's Canal, now a spongy mass of dark red vegetation, and pushed on towards Primrose Hill. There stood a second fighting machine, upright, but as still as the first. Abruptly, the sound ceased. Suddenly the desolation, the solitude became unendurable. While that voice sounded, London had still seemed alive. But suddenly there was a change, the passing of something. I knew not what. Except now, all that remained was this gaunt quiet. I looked up and saw a third machine. It was erect and motionless, like the others. An insane resolve possessed me. I would give my life to the Martians, here and now. I marched recklessly towards the Titan, and I saw that a multitude of black birds were circling and clustering about the hood. I began running along the road. I felt no fear, only a wild, trembling exultation as I ran up the hill towards the motionless monster. Out of the hood hung red shreds at which the hungry birds now pecked and tore. I scrambled up the crest of Primrose Hill. The Martians' camp was below me, a mighty space it was, and scattered about it in their overturned machines were the Martians. Dead, slain, after all man's devices had failed, by the humblest things upon the earth. Bacteria, minute, invisible bacteria. These germs have plagued us since life began. For millions of years we've developed a resistance to them. But there are no bacteria on Mars. Directly the invaders arrived and drank and fed, but our microscopic allies attacked them. And from that moment, they were doomed.